Welcome back to the Saturday afternoon session of Art and Code Homemade, our festival about digital tools and crafty approaches. This is our afternoon session on our final day. We have one session after this in the evening, but for the afternoon session, we are going to have four presenters: Katya Vega, Jorvan Moss, Tatiana Mustakos, and Daniela Rossner. We're going to begin with Katya Vega. And if you're just tuning in and would like to be a part of the chats, go to artandcode.com/homemade to register, and you'll be able to be a part of the Discord where we're having our conversations and chats about the speakers and their work. Katya Vega is a professor at the Department of Design at the University of California, Davis, where she directs the Interactive Organisms Lab. Her laboratory leads new explorations in novel interfaces in areas such as beauty technology, body modification technologies, and growable interfaces. She's also the author of Beauty Technology, Designing Seamless Interfaces for Wearable Computing. Katya Vega.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here and to be part of this great festival and share also some of my passion, some of my research projects, and I will be talking a little bit more of what I was creating in the last maybe 10 years and also kind of like behind the scenes of what I was creating too. So I super excited to share what I was doing with you guys. Um, so first, while talking with the organizers, I was thinking on what will be the most interesting thing to share and how to go even beyond of a traditional way to that I present my work. And one of the recommendation was to talk a little bit more about your passion and about yourself. And I felt like, oh yes, of course, I can talk about my favorite topic, myself. And I decided to talk about what it drives my creation. And in that way, you will see different fields merging together and fields that maybe I wasn't expected to be exploring from before. A little bit of my background. I studied computer science. I am from Peru. And when I finished my career, and maybe I don't know if that happened to you at some point, or if you are studying and you didn't know how to move forward, I was in that situation. I didn't know what to do next. And unfortunately, in Peru, there are not many research labs, at least in HCI, in computer science. And and actually that's kind of like a very privilege, I thought, like from other countries. And I I don't even knew that being a researcher was a career. I just like, do you actually get paid for create and to be a researcher? That wasn't something that it was very common in my environment. But I was very fortunate to talk with someone that he was a researcher, a Peruvian researcher, and said like, yes, you could apply to scholarships and study a master degree, a PhD degree, and become a researcher. And that's what I did. I went to Brazil. I did my master degree. It was more about virtual worlds, and then I moved into uh, creating other devices. I started to learning about wearable devices, and I started my PhD around that topic. And I was very fortunate to move to Hong Kong for 1 year. I was over there in a arts department that was very different from any of my colleagues that were doing going to computer science labs all over the world. And then I started thinking about how we in computer science create. And we usually create maybe just following, solving a specific problem. And when I was in arts, I was thinking like, okay, what's the problem? What's the solution? What are you creating? And they were expressing more their passion. So that kind of, and I will show you some projects that show that current passion and that passion I had also at that time. And I think art gave me that possibility to express this futuristic technology and make it more available for other people to think about, not just as a prototype, as a paper or something that you cannot see, but you could actually see and touch and making performances and all that. So I'll show you a little bit about that. My journey. I put some pictures of me over here. Um, and you could see that I was being involved into learning about tattoos and using a tattoo gun. That it was kind of like an amazing experience because it has a motor and moves and you have that feeling. But also I was using biosensors, biotechnology, things that change its color, and that was something very different for me. I was going to chemical labs to try to metallize different components, and I felt like I was a computer scientist, but you usually don't wear this white coat. And I had that experience to become a scientist and using that white coat and going to the lab and creating like kind of like a recipe through chemistry and create all also different kind of objects. I would introduce also to electronics and circuits, and I mix all that together for not just create all these research and papers and projects, as I mentioned, but also art exhibitions to showcase what I was feeling. And in this idea of what I was feeling, I was always thinking about, and I continue thinking about in this question, and what is the meaning of your skin? And I'm sure if I ask you this question, you will come with different ideas, since the protection, a protection layer of your body, or the skin is kind of also a sensor. You could touch a surface and know if something is too cold, too hot, and the texture of objects. And you could also think about uh, if something is too soft. You could understand your environment just by touching it and your skin. And that's what I want to talk to you today. It's also a way that we express ourselves. We express ourselves in many ways, and we modify our body, we modify our skin. Our skin could be a canvas that we could be representing different ways that we wanted to be seen. And in that way, I want to talk about cosmetics. And if you think about cosmetics over the time, they didn't change very much. So even right now, I have a red lipstick. My mom has a red lipstick. My grandma has a red lipstick. The functionality of the cosmetics didn't change that much. So I was thinking on if we already are using these products for highlighting or hiding some of our appearance, how we could embed technology. So I create all this concept called beauty technology. This was actually my PhD project that I was using cosmetics or beauty products and embed circuits into them. So our skin, these 2 meters square of a skin that we have, it could be an interactive platform. I was thinking for a long time, what could be a good way to introduce to you guys these concepts and these ideas. And one of my main motivation on the projects that you will be seeing is that how to make my prototypes invisible, how to make an eyelash that it could become a circuit to look like an eyelash. And if you see in my video, and you could see, I hold you right now an eyelash, and this is a conductive eyelash. But if you see over the camera, and maybe if you see that in person and some other opportunity, you could check that it looks like a normal fake eyelash, the one that you could buy in a drugstore. So I will show to you some of how I create these prototypes and how to make them to be seamless so you could still be yourself but wearing technology. So you could see over here these prototypes I call it conductive makeup. I was again wearing this white coat and going to a chemistry lab and using all these different material. So I was able to create these eyelashes that now are conductive. I work a lot with artists for this first project that you could see over here in this first video. Oh, sorry. Let me see. In this first video, you could see that uh, we apply these eyelashes, one on the top of the eyelid, or the other one in the bottom part of the eyelid, and it works like a switch. When she blinks, the different light patterns turn off, on and off. And for me, I was very excited, and you could see over here in the right side, this is me also wearing these eyelashes. I was a superhero, and just by blinking, I was able to turn on this drone and make it fly. Like my free time, I'm a superhero, and just by blinking, I could make things to levitate. And and again, I try to make things invisible, conducting materials that could be embedded into makeup. And you could have these micro movements that we have, like that is blinking, but now we could interact with our world. Other ways I was working in this kind of project, I was working with Felipe. Felipe was six-time Brazilian championship in Jiu-Jitsu. And unfortunately, during a training, now he cannot move his body. So instead of having superhero for controlling a drone, he wanted to control the TV and having that independence. And inspired in Felipe, I create this other project I will be showing to you. And this project, it's I call it kinesi, that means movement in Greek. That you will see this. It is an art project that I exhibit in different places, and I work with different video video professionals for show this possibility that your skin could be an interface. And you will see in the video how different light patterns turns on just by blinking, raising an eyebrow, smiling, and closing the lips. And of course, our body is also our hair. So I was working with hair extension, a very similar way with the eyelashes, so metallizing them with a chemical process. And the chemicals I was using, I was actually using them to look like my hair, kind of brown. And connecting that fake eyelash that now is conductive but looks like a hair to a microcontroller has Bluetooth, I could send that information through a device. And in this case, you could think about recording conversation, sending a message, or imagine if you're in a risky situation, you don't take out your phone, you could send your location to the police, for example. Our body is also our nails. And I create this other project called Tech Nails that embed this small chip inside of the fingernails. And my main motivation also was to interact with devices with these RFIDs. And if you think about, for example, when you want to pay the metro, you need all these cards, or so you have to touch that or approximate your card to that reader to know who you are, so you could go and pay the metro. So imagine all these RFIDs we could have in our fingertip. So each of our finger could be one for paying the metro, other one for paying a Starbucks, other one for opening the door of your office. And one thing I was interested is, oops, I wanted to, this device, you don't need to touch anything for creating the interaction. So we create this Aqua DJing project, a DJ controller into the water. So the DJ put her fingernails into the water, change tracks and add sound effects. And just for sharing also like how I do create, I use traditional beauty products. Like for example, you can see over here my fingernails that I was even going to a salon using gel nails, fake nails, and embedded this microchip or this RFID on that nail. You can see this is my very first prototype, the very first time I did it. My nails looks very bulky and big, but then I started to do like, smaller and smaller, and is going through this also passion to have more seamless devices. Uh, Again, we share all this concept in the Design Seamless Interfaces for Wearable Computing Beauty Technology book. And one thing I noticed is that right now, even you could see some startups that they are trying to do this idea of the fingernails for paying the metro in London, in China, in Hong Kong. Um, Other thing I wanna share with you, I already shared to you how we could have an interactive body through cosmetics like makeup that you blink and turn the lights, uh, or fingernails that you could pay the metro with your fingernail, or just by touching your hair, you send a message to the police. So your body could become an interface in that way. But then I was interested in kind of like maybe going deeper into the skin and making kind of like a more deeper connection and to read information that you usually don't have access to. If you think about the skin, as we go back to my first question, the skin could be also a display. And if you think about that, when you get nervous or when something is going on into your body, you could get red. You could have acne. Also, your skin itself is giving information for you, maybe taking action, or even some kind of behaviors that could be psychological or physical behaviors could be exposed in your skin. So I was thinking about tattoos, and this is a collaboration project when I was a postdoc at MIT Media Lab, and we were thinking on a collaboration with also Harvard Medical School. And we were thinking about the skin and how we could reveal information that you usually don't have access to. Instead of making a blood test, it could be a tattoo that we could replace these inks, traditional inks, with biosensors, and they change color and react and give you information for your body. So you could think about, for example, glucose levels for people that have diabetes that goes up and down. So you could see your tattoo could be changing and giving you that information when you will need more insulin. Uh, we're doing some prototypes that showcase that idea, of course, and we were using also different biosensors like pH, glucose, sodium. And of course, I cannot do a tattoo right now for you guys. We were working also with tattoo artists because they know about the skin, they know about design in our own canvas that is our skin. So that connection with the artist itself give us that possibility, but we were showing that as a proof of concept of a futuristic idea that hopefully right now actually there are more biotech labs working in improving that those biosensors for that, using that as tattoos. Similar than that, I'm thinking about again how we could have a deeper connection through our body. We could think about these um, these also these uh, ligatures, dental ligatures, this one that goes around these braces, and we develop them with hydrogel and also with biosensors, so they are interacting with your own saliva. So if we could think about this is a simulation, you could think about a device, and when it goes closer to that ligature, you could identify what's the color of it, and then you could send that as a history of on your phone. We were working with biosensors on nitric oxide, pH, uric acid, and this will give you a lot of information also about your body. Uh, And for me, all this passion that I'm talking is a way that we modify the body. And you could think about makeup, and we could think about plastic surgery, scarification, tattoos. And I didn't invent uh, these different body modification techniques. I use them and embed technology into them, so we could have a deeper connection through our body and understanding more ourselves, but also communicating more information. Is a connection between wearable technology, our body fluids, like you could think about tears, the sweat, when you sweat, your saliva, your interstitial fluids, and how those fluids could be connected with material design and also biotech. And just finally, I just want to mention something that is also interesting for my lab, and LD Lazaro, my student, was working on that. That is growable interfaces. So you think about us as designers, we have a problem. We create all these devices, and then we put that in a shelf, or maybe we just put that on the landfill, and we are not very conscious of our role in creation, but also if we are creating products that could be sustainable. So she created these ideas called gravel interfaces. So by using mycelium that is heat resistant, water resistant, you could embed electronics into them. In this case, she was preparing that like as a small layer, very thin layer, so it could be flexible too, and we could put electronics around that, and we could create these wearables. And not just wearable devices like that, but other interactive objects. And then you could imagine like all the objects that you even have right now in your labs. What happened with that device? What if you reuse, for example, the electronics? You could take out your Flora or your Arduino and just compost the material. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys, is this whole idea of thinking about our different kind of organisms that we could see, thinking about your body and yourself, how your fluids are interacting and also changing all the time in response of your metabolism. And I want you to kind of like move farther from not just thinking about maybe a button or a switch, but it's your whole self that could be interacting and changing its behavior, and you could see it or you could kind of express it in a different way. I just want to thank my lab. I'm very happy that they are students that come from all over the world, but also I'm very happy to have women in technology that are interested in these topics. And we have some applications open from the MFA. If you also wanted to apply, you could also write to me an email. And yes, this is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much. And please, if you have any questions, just put that in Discord. I will go back and check them. And yes, I don't know, Golan, if you also have any questions.
Yeah, we got a lot, Katya. You have a bunch of fans. There's a lot of really great
Fantastic.
responses in Discord, and we have maybe 3 minutes or so. So I want to kind of hit some questions with you. One question comes from Kate Hartman, who asks, "Your work in beauty technology is beautiful. Is the use of the term beauty for you meant more to refer to the cosmetic aspects and the sort of the cultural slot, or rather to the finesse of the wearing and integration techniques that are employed?" And also, she says, "Have you developed any ideas for ugly technology?"
That's fantastic. Yeah, so when I was coming out with the name, I actually was thinking more on the products itself. Uh, for me, it was like usually woman itself, they are an inspiration for me because I was, as I mentioned, I was in Hong Kong and I was looking how amazing those techniques could be. Like placing an eyelash in the metro is not a simple task, and like going to a salon like every 2 weeks, I spending maybe 2 or 3 hours for having these gel nails. It was also kind of like this motivation and this mixture between like these fingernails with Hello Kitty and crystals that uh, is kind of like a deeper connection, cultural, deeper connection through the product itself. And if I think about the beauty product itself, yes, it has like I was in that for that name I was thinking about the that particular product name. And about ugly technology, I didn't thought about that actually. Like as there is, I didn't know that it's an ugly technology. I usually think about the way we modify our body, and it could be beautiful in many ways. So I kind of inspired in many things, even the scarification and as you could see also tattoos. But I will definitely that's like also a really cool idea. I will definitely go deeper into that. But one more thing maybe I would like to share about these products. After I was creating them, I noticed that uh, it's not just for a particular group of people. You could think about, for example, you think about the tattoos. You could think there is a specific group of population that could be using the tattoos. But after we released the prototype, we had hundreds of emails, mainly for people that have diabetes. And since this person that have a kid of 2 years old that he cannot communicate too much with his parent yet and would like to have a tattoo to know what's going on with his kid. Or this other person that his elderly has been 40 years of his life pinching himself like 10 times a day. And he thinks that having a tattoo could give that possibility. So I just thought that these products gives opens the possibility like the users or the audience that it traditionally has.